I yield the next ends of this video to my reaction when I first heard the news that Kyffin Simpson was going to IndyCar full-time in 2024. What the f***? Yeah, so this wasn't news I was expecting to hear today. 18, soon to be 19-year-old Kyffin Simpson, off the back of a fiery and inconsistent sophomore season in the Indy NXT series, will now be driving full-time in IndyCar for Ganassi. Not part-time, full-time in a fifth car for Chip Ganassi Racing. You know how swimming teachers training kids to swim will just throw a toddler into a pool? Well, this is basically the motorsports equivalent of that, but with a pack of starving piranhas. Now, this video isn't going to be the most detailed in the world. As of me recording this, the news came out just over an hour ago. There isn't even news about what number or what primary sponsor the team's going to use next year. Nothing. This news was just so insane that I had to talk about it. So with this news, Kyffin will be the youngest IndyCar driver on the grid next year, and will be the youngest since Colin Herta made his IndyCar debut full-time back in 2019. I, along with basically everyone else, was under the impression that Kyffin would be back in Indy NXT next year, and depending on how he did, would then get the call up to race in IndyCar in 2025. Well, color me gay, because that's not what's gonna happen. When I first heard the news, I was on a cooldown lap in iRacing, and when I saw the tweet Ganassi put out, I nearly crashed because what in the hell? I couldn't even believe what I saw, and I was thinking that I had to clean my glasses. But nope, my eyes did not deceive me. The news I was seeing on my phone was legit. Now, my amateur assessment is, Kyffin is getting rushed. He has only 2 full-time seasons under his belt in Indy NXT, and that past season wasn't that good. I briefly touched on it in my drivers to look out for retrospective video, but I'll touch on it here as well. Kyffin was really quick at times, but he was also wickedly inconsistent. He is a very impressive driver, and deserves to see an IndyCar at some point, but that seat shouldn't be given to him now. The guy's only about 2.5 months older than me, and has only been racing in cars since 2020. Even Colin Herta had more experience in cars, as he had been racing in them for about 5 years before his IndyCar debut at the end of 2018. The only driver in modern IndyCar history who went from karts to cars faster is Nelson Philippe, who in a 3-year period went from karts to Formula Atlantic to Champ Car. Now, don't get me wrong, a meteoric rise through the ranks doesn't mean that Kyffin is doomed. If anything, it just proves the stock that Kyffin has as a racing driver. But with that being said, this next season will probably not be pretty. It happened to Colin Herta, who despite grabbing 2 wins and some poles during his debut season, was still pretty streaky. It happened to Nelson Philippe too, who only adjusted to the series by the time of his 3rd season. And I feel like it'll happen to Kyffin Simpson next year. He's a very talented driver, as I said before, but it's going to be an extremely steep learning curve to get used to the Indy cars, the speed and physicality, and also just ironing out the inconsistency that he's been struggling with. Now, setting expectations at this point would be really stupid, but I think some goals for Kyffin wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Most importantly, he's gotta keep it on track. Frequent crashes have made drivers like Thomas Scheckter, Sebastian Saavedra, and more recently Stingray Robb butts of the joke in the IndyCar scene. So what Kyffin has to do next year is keep it clean. He doesn't need to win, grab any poles, or even score a top 5 as far as I'm concerned, but what he needs to do is just be clean, consistent, and not crash into your teammates. A guy like Thomas Scheckter did the opposite, and despite winning a race as a rookie, he got fired before the season was over. Kyffin has a safety net to fall back on, and he should also remember, along with the fans too, that this is going to be a long-term project. He won't be kicking faces in and taking names right out of the gate, but he might be able to do that in a few years. It's going to take some time, and I think he and the IndyCar fans need to keep that in mind. I'll probably make a more fleshed out video about this subject a few months down the line, preferably a video where I have more than 4 hours to piece it together, but that's for another day. Thank you for watching, and have a great afternoon.